Yo, what's going on, Katie? Hello. Can you hear me? Did you
Hi.
kind of... Oh, okay, there we go. Perfect. Got it working. Hello.
Yes, I do have a mic.
All right. So, can you tell me again why you wanted, a little bit of tips and coaching?
So I've only been playing Destiny for like a year and a half, and I really like PvP. But
Okay.
every single time I play, like I feel like I'm not getting any better.
Okay. So you
So
feel like you hit a wall, you're not seeing improvements, you're not really sure where to go to next.
pretty much.
All right. So I'm going to take a look at your character, and then I'm just going to dissect and see what's going on with your subclass and your weapons of choice. Would you say this is your preferred build? Is this like your go-to, like what you like to take into Crucible most of the time?
For PvP, yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
All right, so give me a second. I'm just going to start looking around. Subclass of choice. Let's see. Triple jump, marksman dodge, blade barrage proximity, centenary. Knock them down on your mark. Couple fragments. You prefer golden gun or blade barrage?
Yeah, I do prefer Golden Gun.
And would you say most of the time is spent into 6v6 or Trials of Osiris?
Trials or survival.
Okay, so you like the 3v3 modes more. Perfect.
Yeah, mostly.
I like to use a pulse rifle. Got hit seeker on this. Stats for all. A duality shotgun. Take a look at the mods. You see you have a high energy fire. Take advantage of the charge of light. Pulse rifle loader. You don't mess around with your mods too much, would you say? Like, you have some PV mods that don't work in Crucible. Do you usually swap those out, or would you you'd rather just not mess around with your builds, but get like a pretty good setup that doesn't require too much on the mods?
Yeah, I try to do that.
Okay, you do try to switch them off. All right. Do you use dim by any chance? Because by the end of this, if we can have your build set up in a way, you can save it on dim so that in case you ever want to switch your mods, do PvE, you can just click a button and it'll put your PvP stuff back on immediately. All right, so when it comes to the stat distribution, I feel like this is going to play a big role on your performance. So your mobility. As a hunter player, some of this you might know already, but I will just say it again just in case to really emphasize what matters and what doesn't. As a hunter, you always want to try to make sure your mobility is the highest possible. If you don't have the gear available, I would say 7 at least. Try to hit 7, right? At the same time, you want to treat mobility the same way as you would treat recovery. You want to have that as high as possible. So 84, I feel like you're barely getting by. If you can get that to 9, which is 90, you'll be good. Tier 10 is perfect. So those are the major two things I can point out when it comes to the stat distribution. Bumping up that to like 90 recovery, your mobility, trying to get it as close as possible to at least 70. The higher, the better. One tip to give you that I don't see on your armor that can significantly boost your mobility stat is Powerful Friends. Do you have that mod by any chance unlocked?
Which one?
Powerful Friends. So go to your boots because those are arc. Some of these mods are tied to
Okay.
certain affinities. So you might have Powerful Friends unlocked, which is a 4-point mod.
Yeah, I don't think I have it. It's
Okay.
on Arc.
Yeah, it's on arc. So if you don't have it, that's okay. Keep an eye out for that because when you use Powerful Friends, you can get let me check real quick. What's the boost like? You get plus 20 in mobility. So that is going to help your hunter significantly a lot. It'll take you from 40 directly to 60. So it helps a ton when it comes to the stats. Now, the reason you want to make sure you focus on your mobility a lot is because that is kind of like the strong point of a hunter. It's tied to your class ability, which is your dodge. Your dodge is a very strong tool when it comes to Crucible, regardless of the subclass you're using. This dodge literally works as it says. It's a dodge. You can get away from danger, dodge a bullet, and then it has side benefits that can affect your weapons or other abilities. For example, your marksman dodge will reload your weapon. So not only do you have that movement ability to just pretty much escape danger, make it difficult for people to kill you, you can also use it to reload your weapon, right? Things like that to keep in mind. You can achieve this effect with the other dodge as well, and that's going to give you a different benefit, which is your melee. Personally, I like to use marksman dodge like you are right now, because it comes up much quicker. So one thing to note of is your mobility. So the resilience,
Usually focus on recovery.
no, that's fine. I think either mobility or recovery when it comes to the hunters, like the #1 priority. I like that you have 84 recovery. I would bump up that to 90 if possible at some point. But some of this you're limited because of your armor, right? Like you don't have the god roll armor, or you want to use a certain exotic. You can't really quite get those stats. Well, the good news is we have the fragments with Solar 3.0, which can give you like some bonuses to your subclass. So let me take a look at your your fragments. Powered melees, defeating Scorch grants melee recovery. So I would get rid of Ember of Tempering. Can you get rid of that fragment on your solar subclass? And that by itself already gave you a +10 and you're sitting at 9 recovery. Now that's pretty solid. 10 is perfect, 9 you're almost there. Your resilience is sitting at 79, so that only counts as tier 7. I say if you're playing a hunter 5 to 6, you can get away with that. You don't have to stress too much about resilience, although it's going to be nice because you have that reduced incoming flinch when it comes to gunfights, right? So that's awesome. Your discipline, intellect, and strength. Ever since intellect got nerfed, other stats became a lot more important. If you take a look at my character, my stats, I'm running 100 discipline and like 30 intellect, right? Your grenades have become a lot more important to invest in. So in the future, I want you to keep in mind trying to get armor that not only gives you bonuses in your mobility, your recovery, but also your discipline. You don't have to stress too much about having high intellect anymore, but I would keep it at like 5 as a sweet spot. Especially if you're playing Trials of Osiris, I would recommend running Blade Barrage. Do you have a lot of experience with using that super?
Yes.
Okay, so Blade Barrage is definitely an S tier pick when it comes to Trials. Golden Gun, I would take it down to A, just because the effectiveness of the super really comes down to how patient you are, how fast your reflexes are, and how good your shot is. While Blade Barrage is just much easier to use and a lot more reliable, consistent, and dangerous because it can counter other supers. So I would switch to Blade Barrage and take advantage of the faster cooldown because that is going to come up much faster in Trials of Osiris. If you're not somebody that's really putting too much damage, slaying, you find yourself going like, I don't know, 4-0, right? Like the enemy team has 4 rounds on you and you're still not getting your super. Well, Blade Barrage is going to make sure that you at least get one that match. All right, so we went over your stats. We can probably make them better if we use some different fragments. So I'm going to take a look at my Solar 3.0 subclass and let me know if you have these active or not, but I would like for you to put them on. You have Ember of Solace on?
Solace?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
But like, yeah.
Let's go ahead and slap that on. Do you have Ember of Syrian on? You should, right? Ember of Syrian.
Yes.
All right. Do you
I
have
have it.
Ember of Torches?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So how many fragments is that so far? 3, right?
Yes, 3.
Okay. So because...
Would Ember of Beams work?
Which one did you say? Beams?
The Ember of Beams?
We can go ahead and slap that on. You should have 1 extra slot, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, because your discipline is so low, and I'm just going to go with what you have right now, work with it, make it better, I would use Ember of Shard, which is +10 discipline. And that's going to help you make sure you have more grenades as well. Now, the goal here is to try to make your character a little bit more well-rounded instead of highly reliant on one thing. If your stats right now and the stuff that you have are only really focusing on the strength, I feel like when that fails, you should ask the question, what am I going to do now? You want to make sure you're a well-rounded character overall. So not only are you going to be able to spam melees, right? Have that radiant, the double knives, you now will have a faster cooldown on your grenades, so you can also play around that. You don't have one ability, you'll have another. If you don't have any abilities, you want to engage players in a gunfight, but don't worry. Now you have 9 recovery, which means that you can regen health faster. So now I want to talk about your weapon combo. This is what you work with. And I mean, obviously some god rolls for certain weapons, it's all about preference and some people have different opinions and maybe you don't have other rolls. So I'm just going to go with what you got and see if you're playing it to the best possible way. So here we have Fluted Barrel, Flare Magwell, Stats for All, Head Seeker. You got to reload Masswork and you're using a Radar Tuner. I would personally advise using a Counterbalance mod on the Messenger, especially if you're playing on a controller, just to get that better recoil control. It'll be a lot more consistent for you to hit those shots and control that recoil. It becomes more predictable for you. The Radar Tuner is nice, but I feel like the Counterbalance stock on this pulse rifle for you will have a much greater effect. And I guess the playstyle you should keep in mind when using a messenger, some of this might already be obvious. People are already doing it, so you might already know how to play it. But obviously this pulse, you want to keep a distance. Anytime that somebody gets close, you create more distance between you and them. Don't let them get too close because your pulse rifle dominates at long range. Now, duality. People love this shotgun. And I'm sure you have some pretty good experience to how to use this weapon. And one thing that I want to do is help you make sure you can take advantage of the duality because it is a special weapon which can give you free kills. Let's see if you have this mod. Do you have Quick Charge available on your boots? It's a 5-point mod and it's called Quick Charge. It has like a little, okay, perfect. So I need you to slap that on. So Quick Charge basically is a mod that once activated will give you a passive handling bonus to your weapons. That is the biggest effect that you get out of this mod, and it's very important for anybody considering using a shotgun mod on their build. So now your duality went from 80 handling to being completely maxed out thanks to that mod. So what does that mean exactly? Anytime that you see somebody running at you, what do you usually want to do? You probably don't want to keep your primary out. You want to switch to the shotgun to take care of a close quarter combat. And that mod will help you make sure you're switching your weapons as quickly as possible. One beautiful benefit about this mod as well is that if for whatever reason you manage to get a 2-piece with the shotgun, you get 2 kills, you're going to get Charge of Light. Now that will result in getting that bonus high energy fire on your helmet to activate and allow you to actually do more damage, which means your pulse rifle, that's usually a 2 burst if you hit all crits, will now 2 burst even more thanks to that damage bonus. Just things like that to keep in mind. So we have quick charge. Let me look at your gauntlets. I want to go ahead and remove impact dunction, and you should have the shotgun dexterity mod that's a 1 point from the artifact available. Perfect. So this again is going with the same idea of being able to allow you to switch your weapons as quickly as possible. I know you have a mod that gives you like abilities a bit faster, but the idea here is to make sure that you're a well-rounded character. You don't want to be just a one-trick person, right? You still will have a lot of strength. You have 67, you have the Ophidia space double melees, and you'll be able to have those to play around as much as possible. Nothing really too much to worry about. So on your chest piece, I want to get rid of all those mods that you have except for the recovery one. That means getting rid of melee resist, getting rid of the melee wellmaker. Yeah, your chest piece. Now we have 6 unused energy points, and the only thing you can really equip in the chest piece here is reserves or anti-flinch mods. Anti-flinch mods are pretty good to use, especially because it made flinch a lot more reliable or consistent when it comes to this season. You can build into it. That's why people care about resilience, and that's probably why you have pretty high resilience too, because you care about it as well. So we're going to go ahead and slap the pulse rifle unflinching mod on. That should be 3 points, and you can equip that. This is going to help you become a lot more consistent in your gunfights. You won't really see your pulse rifle kicking into the skybox if somebody decides to shoot back. You can keep your shot on point, and you'll be, pretty confident to keep engaging players. Now you have 3 more points, and we can go ahead and slap another unflinching pulse rifle mod. Do you find yourself using your primary mostly in Crucible or your shotgun?
Mostly my pulse rifle, but shotgun if people get too close.
Perfect. So we'll double down on the pulse rifles. Because you pretty much keep that out more often than not. For the power weapon, I see you're running a rocket launcher. We don't have an exotic slot available, so we can use something that's pretty easy like a Gallahorn. Now, do you have a grenade launcher with proximity round? We don't have to find one immediately right now, but I would say I would recommend you find a grenade launcher that has proximity rounds. I'll go ahead and put one on just so you can see what it looks like. There's 2 grenade launchers that I know of, and one of them is called the Typhoon GL5. You can get from Banshee. If you're lucky, maybe someday it'll pop up. Let me see, this is not the GL. There we go. So take a look at my grenade launcher in the power weapon slot. Usually you go for pretty high velocity and blast radius. You get 3 shots when it comes to Crucible. And I have proximity grenades, which is the biggest thing that you need for this GL. The reason you go for this is because you pick a power weapon, you aim it at a person that's like medium range. You really don't want to try to shoot them from too far. Something like medium close range, and it'll instantly detonate on them. It'll give you a 1-shot kill. I find these to be a lot more reliable, at least with a little bit of practice, than a rocket launcher. The rocket launcher nowadays, because of the velocity, they're quite easy to dodge. So if you're picking up a rocket and I see you with a rocket launcher, any player can pretty much predict the rocket launcher and dodge it. They'll be able to skip dying to that. So then your power ammo becomes useless. And when it comes to Trials of Osiris, heavy round should be a free round, assuming you get it and have the right power weapon. Now, if you get the power ammo, that doesn't mean a guaranteed round win if you have the wrong power weapon. But if for whatever reason you do have something like a Gallahorn, there should be like a 90% chance you win that round. There is no excuse. Like, the power weapon is so strong, it's a free kill or 2, and that's, how big of a deal that round is. Usually whenever I'm playing Trials of Osiris and it's a close game, I know the heavy round is coming up, and that is the round to win because it's the easiest one, especially if I'm carrying a powerful weapon. That is my chance to secure an actual round win. You don't have proximity on this grenade launcher, but you could mess around with it, start getting, used to using the GL, the velocity and the curvature to it. So that's okay. Now, we went through pretty much majority of the stuff when it comes to your build, your armor, your weapons. your heavy weapon, your fragments and stuff like that. It's not going to be perfect, but you get a pretty good idea. Let me look at your subclass of choice. All right, we're going to actually change your class item. Do you happen to have a stasis energy cloak by any chance? And if you don't, we're going to have to remove the mods and change this to a stasis energy, all right?
Okay. Yes, I do.
Let me put that on. Okay. So you can level this up a little bit. You don't have to masterwork it right now. You could probably change the other one to stasis if you really are happy with the outcome. But the idea here as to why you want to switch to that is because with the stasis cloak, there's a mod you can use called utility kickstart. When your class ability energy is fully expended, you gain class ability energy. So that's free energy just for using your ability. As a hunter, this is a really strong ability. You use your dodge, that's going to help you get your dodge back quicker. Now, we already established that you don't have the highest mobility available to your hunter, so this utility kickstart, running two of them, will significantly boost your mobility cooldown and help you make sure you get your dodge back quicker. So we'll go ahead and use two of those and slap the recovery mod on top. All right, so I'm going to take you into a private match and then we'll start talking. I already see some things I can tell you that I would like to see for you to improve on. Once we're in a match, you can give me your thoughts about your gameplay, what you suffer when it comes to playing. All right, so let's take us to Endlessville. Now let's go ahead and get into the match here, and I want you to show me kind of how you would approach some of these encounters. So go ahead and meet me here in the middle. You can stay on this side and maybe back away a little bit. And let's assume we're starting a Trials of Osiris match. I just want to get into your head and see how you think, how you would approach some of these situations with your movement, how you would engage with your primary. How do you react when you see a certain player at a specific part of the map? So you start in your Trials of Osiris match. Do you want to run into the middle of the map? What type of playstyle do you have? Are you more reserved? Are you scared? You kind of like stay back a bit with your pulse rifle?
And support.
Okay, all right. So let's say you're back there. We're engaging, right? Pretend like we're fighting each other. Go ahead and shoot me a little bit how we're fighting each other, right? So always try to make sure whenever you shoot a pulse rifle shot or you're going to reload, I want you to make sure you go behind cover. Always do everything when you're not shooting behind cover. One thing also to note, I think it's probably easier if I switch characters. Switch teams. So here I am. Okay. Okay. So we have a little bit of a standoff, right? I can't really hurt you. I'm sitting behind a barricade, but I notice you have a good habit of healing behind cover. That's really smart. So anytime that I do damage to you, if you feel like you're close to losing a gunfight, it's smart to go around a wall, wait for your recovery to kick in. Anytime that you peek when you're one shot, weak, whatever, broken shields, like that's an advantage for the other player to clean you up. All right, so now let's go ahead and start moving towards each other. I'm going to start playing a little bit more forward and trying to close the gap on you. And I want to see how you behave when you have players like that coming at you. You're free to move around the map. I just want to see how you behave when somebody's trying to push you. Okay, nice. So you pull out the shotgun quickly. That quick charge is going to help you. You have the max handling. Pull out the primary, you're getting scared. You throw a throwing knife. Okay, I'm not going to activate that. I hit you once. See what happens when you have some pressure of a grenade on top of you. You're pretty much one shot. And you're backing away to get your HP back. And you throw in a grenade to make sure that I don't follow up. Okay, that's good. You got some pretty good habits. Now, I will say, maybe this is limited to the controller, but some of your decision making is a little bit too slow. Is it confidence? Maybe, I'm not sure. But you want to make sure you start acting a little bit quicker, because as soon as I throw a grenade or hit you once, like I can follow up and just try to clean you up. So let's go ahead and continue to engage. See what happens with a barricade on. Pulls out a shotgun. Keep the shotgun out. Pulls a throwing knife. Okay. So your decision making when it comes to when to use certain weapons, it's also something you want to consider and work on. Now, this is actually something that a lot of people just kind of need experience with. I'm trying to figure out what can help you try to combat when you should pull out a shotgun and when you shouldn't. Because I'm able to pretty much backpedal and keep you at a distance anytime you try to pull a shotgun on me. And as you saw in that situation, I left you one shot and you were kind of exposed, right, while I was full health. Try to be a little bit more aware of your radar. So when you see like the edges like this, I'm not really pushing. And then once you start seeing the radar getting like this close range, you can expect a shotgun push, but you should be ready to see a primary bait, all right? Like a lot of people will try to bait out a shotgun, and that's something you want to keep in mind. So let's go ahead and start engaging again, okay? Okay, pause. So when it comes to playing a hand cannon player, it's a very popular thing, right? You would say you match a lot of people using the hand cannon in Crucible. It's like the iconic weapon. As a hand cannon player, I'm going to peek shot you a lot, like this. And if you're standing still out in the open, you make it really easy for me to shoot you, but it's very difficult for you to shoot me back. So when you come to playing the map, you want to make sure you're using the angles and the cover, the walls, as much as possible to cover your body as much as possible. If you want to lane, sit in an angle, try to cover some of your character's body enough to where you can peek your primary. All right, same like this over here. There's a head glitch right here, and I would only see your head. I can't see like below your head, so I only have that tiny target to aim at. Much more difficult for me to hit you than it is for you to hit me when I'm standing here showing the entire character's body, right? So that right there is probably going to be one of the biggest tips I can give you that you need to make sure you remember and double down on. Using the cover as much as possible. There's cover everywhere. You can use anything to your advantage. So I'm gonna back off and we're gonna engage again. Very good. You can try to kill me, okay? I want you to do what you can to try to take me down. Taking cover when you're getting two tap, like that. All right. Keep going. Try to kill me again. No supers though, please. Okay, that's a really good grenade to keep me off. You're doing some pretty good damage. Do you feel like it's difficult to clean me up? Like you put damage, but you're not actually getting the kill? Because right now we have a standoff, right? Like I'm putting in damage, you're putting in damage, but nobody's really going down, right? When it comes to these standoff, as a hand cannon player, you're more than likely going to find somebody that can play their lives in peak shot and never really like engage you when they're one shot. So what you want to try to keep in mind when you're playing somebody like this that won't let you secure the kill, you want to save your abilities once they're weak, okay? A lot of the time I see you engaging with a grenade or a throwing knife, which is fine. But the problem that happens then is that I take the damage, I hide, and I wait for my HP to come back. Now you don't have an ability. I don't have to worry about that, right? I don't have to worry that if you give me one shot, you're going to clean me up. So in this situation, I want you to try to like hit a couple shots, get me weak, but don't use your ability. I'm going to peek you, and then I'm going to hide around the corner. And I want you to throw either your grenade or your throwing knife around the corner, this corner, right? And then see if you can clean me up, okay? Without pushing me to the extent where I can use a shotgun and kill you, all right? So go back to your head glitch. And then I'm going to engage you. You're going to hit me with some shots. I'm going to hide around the wall corner. And then I want you to try to clean me up with an ability. Okay, take the cover, get me weak. Okay, now I'm one shot and I'm gonna hide from you. You didn't hit your grenade.
Oh.
And the throwing knife, you got a little bit too close. But you had the right idea when it comes to the throwing knife. When you're playing people with a barricade, it's often best to throw the throwing knife at the floor next to them. So actually, that's a good tip I can give you when it comes to the proximity knives. You might want to throw the knife directly at them, but it's sometimes a little bit better just throw it at their feet, at the ground they're at, instead of directly, because you have a chance of like throwing it straight at them and then you're going to miss. You know what I mean? It'll just go through them. While on the floor, you know, it'll blow up in the proximity and actually do some damage. A lot of the time when it comes to playing against people that play really aggressive, it's anticipating their movement, which is basically just saying, hey, I can predict that you're going to want to slide around this corner and shotgun me. So I have a play for that in case it does happen. You see it happening. Some of these people are very easy to read. Like it's in their loadouts. It's all over your face. Like you know what they're going to do. You see a shotgun hand cannon player, he's going to want to be aggressive, right? You see Stompies, like that's probably the easiest read ever. You know that guy's going to be really aggressive and fast paced. So let's go ahead and start off. I'll see. I want to get an idea of like what your reaction is to getting pushed. Do a couple of these encounters. Do your best to try to counter me pushing you or anything. Okay. Let me see. We'll do a pause. I feel like your prediction of me pushing, like you're a little bit confused as to if I'm gonna push or I'm not gonna push, right? It's kind of like a little mind trick, right? So we'll do a little bit slower, but I want you to try to predict what I'm going to do, and you need to utilize your abilities to slow an aggressive player down, and you need to use primary damage. Your pulse wave was a really strong tool for that, to slow a player down. There's only, like, let's say right here in the middle, there's only two ways I can slide at you from, right? From the left and the right side. So when you have a pulsar from back there, you have to anticipate me sliding around from one of these corners and you getting ready to do damage. Because anytime that you do damage to me, I'm going to slow down. I'm going to wait for my health to come back. You're slowing me down. And that's your goal, is to chip me away to the point where you have me in a corner or a spot where I'm one shot that, then you can push up, clean me up with a shotgun, or use your abilities if you're not too confident to fly in with a shotgun, all right? So we're going to do a situation where, look, I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm going to slide from here, and I'm going to try to play aggressive, and I want you to trap me in this corner that I'm shooting at. And this is probably me, the closest I can get to you. And this is the furthest you should let me get to you. And you should have me one shot by this point. Like I should be trying to stop here to regen. And then you want to clean me up with abilities, all right? Whether it's your throwing knife or your grenade, whichever you find to be the most reliable, effective ability to use to secure a kill. And because of your build, you should always try to take advantage of that throwing knife as much as possible, okay? So let's go ahead and engage. I want you to go from spawn. You can stop there and come back. You can start pre-aiming the center. So you know where to anticipate. I have two corners where I want to engage from. So right there, you're letting me do too much damage when I'm using a hand cannon. I'm starting to get closer. I'm trying to close the gap and play aggressive. You want to make sure you're doing primary damage as much as possible. Every time that you're hiding from me, that means you're scared and you're allowing me to catch ground on you. Now you put me in a spot in a corner where I'm trying to find an opportunity where I can wear you down and push, but you're not letting me, right? Because you keep doing damage, and that's the goal. We're both exchanging damage. Your goal is to just not die and keep making me one shot. I'm one shot now. I'm trapped in a corner, and there you go. You follow. That's how you put a shotgun or an aggressive player in their spot. You make them think twice about challenging. I want you to do the same thing, but with your grenade this time. Go back to where you were at, and this time I want you to do the same thing with your primary, right? Trying to hold me back, see if you can find an opportunity to either A, kill me with your primary, or B, kill me with an ability. I'm going to trap myself in that corner once more because I'm trying to play aggressive. You know, I'm one of those aggressive players. I can't seem to like want to actually get a primary kill, so I just want to rush it with a shotgun. I'm trying to get close, but you're keeping me back with primary damage. I'm one shot now. Again, in the same corner, boom, you clean me up with a nade. Now, you got me thinking twice about playing aggressive. So you want to make sure you take note of that mental play, by the way. All right. So if you, okay, pause. 2 for 2. You shut me down as an aggressive shotgun player or hand cannon player. Now I'm thinking to myself, man, I can't push this person anymore. Like, I'm playing aggressive and they just keep shutting me down. That's when you as a pulse rifle player are kind of winning in a mental battle, because now I'm going to play scared. You know, I won't want to run into that corner anymore because you keep shutting me down, right? So now I'm playing slower, and that's when you can start taking advantage of your play style against mine, because your pulse rifle has more range. You have you're better suited for long distance, and I'm not, right? I made this build to try to play aggressive, not to sit back in my spawn and try to shoot you for like 10 damage. Your pulse rifle though, you'll just dominate me. And once you start seeing a player being scared, you can take a little bit more confidence to start pushing up on parts of the map where you can have map control. Map control is very important. It plays a big role with positioning, and they all vary depending on your weapon. As a pulse rifle player, spots like these long range are good. This spot is good. This spot where I'm at, anything where you peek out of cover, you have a long range, it's good. All right. But if you're here with a pulse rifle and I'm like right here in this part of the map on that head glitch, then you're starting to pass territory where you're giving me an advantage, because I'm going to position and wait for you, right? And I'm going to have the weapon better suited for that range. So keep in mind, once you start playing a little bit more aggressive and trying to seek out opponents, the last thing you want to do is give them the advantage again that you work so hard to build up for yourself, right? You keeping me at a distance. Don't ruin that by getting all close and personal with me and putting me back in that range that I want. So I want you to go back to your spawn, and we're going to engage again, but this time I'm going to challenge from a different angle. And I want you to keep in mind what we learned, all right? So not everything you'll be able to execute instantly when it comes to your reflexes and like decision making, but at least you know what to start with and start practicing it. And with experience and time, you'll start to react much, much faster. So don't let me bait you out of cover. Stay true to your primary shot. You don't want me to get. Remember, if I see you with a shotgun, either A, I'm gonna push you with a shotgun myself, or I'm gonna create distance and use my primary. Keep trying to kill me, hold me back. Always try to use that cover. Right here, I have the peak shot advantage, and you don't have any advantage at all. I can see your entire body character. There you go. I only hit one shot, and I'm trying to get close to you. You throw a nade, now you got me weak. That's huge. Now I'm one shot and you clean me up. Good. Every time that you feel like a player is starting to cover ground on you, you want to meet that by also distancing yourself. If the pulse rifle is your playstyle, that means you want the more range possible and always play in the cover. Okay? So keep that in mind. Keep trying to do that. You're doing a good job with the abilities. Abilities work as a way to clean up and slow an aggressive player down. If I make you weak, I want you to throw an ability so that I think twice about pushing up. Yeah, good damage. Always use those head glitches as much as possible. Using cover where now you got me one shot. Now I'm thinking twice. I'm like, okay, I can't really push. I got you one shot. And I got a little bit too close and personal. Remember to use abilities. Try to use your dodge as well. So that's something that I'm not seeing you take advantage when it comes to these fights. One of the great things about the dodge is that when I'm doing damage to you and you find yourself like a little bit too open in cover, out of cover, you can use the dodge to get you back into cover. It's kind of like a little leap. So here you hit me with a knife, I'm weak. I'm not pushing you, right? Now I'm sitting back, I'm scared. I want you to try to close the gap on me on a player that's scared trying to hit you from so far back. I'm one shot again, I'm scared. You need to start playing aggressive though, right? Let's say it's a 3v1, you're with your teammates. You can't just sit far back as much as possible. You guys need to start closing the gap on me. So what do? You start peeking out of cover. You're trying to hit a big boy burst shot. You got me weak again. As I'm weak, you keep putting that aggression with your primary shot, not allowing me to reposition and fight a better spot or to recover my health while also using your abilities. So let's keep going again. I'm doing the peak shots. Best to recover. So I'm pushing up because now I have the advantage in terms of damage. I two-tapped you again. I'm trying to get closer again. You need to slow me down. You need to keep rotating. You hit me once, but I'm still confident. You hit me with a shotgun shot well. And you're doing a good job being patient around the corner. Sometimes people will be scared, and even though you're weak around this corner, they won't push you. And that's your opportunity right there to start regenerating your health to max, or as much as possible. Any little bit that you can get will go a big way. Maybe you'll have a grenade or a throwing knife to not allow me to push. Keep engaging. You got me one shot. You need to follow up on that. See if you can get the kill. When it comes to situations like this, you need to have like an internal clock on your mind. It's like, okay, it's been like 3 seconds now and I haven't done damage to him. He's full health. Let me back off. That's a really big deal. All right. Because when you have me one shot, at least if I have you one shot, I want to follow up as quickly as possible and land that final blow to kill you. But if enough time passes, I'm going to say, no, that person's way too, high in HP. I can't get the cleanup anymore. So I'm going to just wait and play it slow. Doing some damage. That was a good try. I like that play. That was good. You found yourself in a bad spot, but you made the best out of it and you almost secured the kill. Nice pulse rifle shot. I'm going on a head glitch. What are you going to do? Smart. Creating the distance, waiting for your HP. Have to make sure you're hitting those abilities as much as possible. So make sure whenever you're getting those throwing knives and incendiary knives, whatever, to take like maybe like a little extra second and make sure that you're throwing them at the right direction, okay? That throwing knife that you threw, right? If they just fly by me, they're not stopping me at all. You kind of just wasted a very strong ability, right? It's Destiny 2. Abilities are a big part of the gameplay. You want to make sure you're utilizing them as much as possible, especially if you feel like the other player has a superior build to you in terms of the, what weapons they're using, or, maybe they're a little bit better. But playing smarter will give you the edge that you need. You did some good damage. See, right here, I'm not following up on a third shot because you did enough damage to keep me back. Again, if I was full health and you did 0 damage right there, I would just keep pushing you and kill you. Right there, like you let me do so much damage to you that now I can freely push up to you and clean you up. So you want to make sure you're always doing damage. Reposition yourself to have an advantageous angle and get your health back up. Okay, now I'm weak. There you go. Nice. Trying to play aggressive. Pull out the shotgun. I'm creating distance. I'm not letting you clean me up. Walking your throwing knife. Can you clean me up? I'm weak. At this point, I'm full health again. Remember that internal clock. At some point, you want to stop chasing so hard because they are going to be full HP and you can't clean them up anymore.
I thought I had my dodge. Sometimes I forget.
Yeah.
Just used it.
That happens. Crucible, sometimes they'll start like bagging on my body, but in reality, they just don't have a dodge.
Yeah, I'm just trying to dodge.
Good. Shotgun pull. Okay, there we go. Very good push. You get a pretty good sense of like when to pull out a shotgun and start to do the aggressive push. Jumped over in that situation. So I want to ask you a question, Pause. Do you slide a lot at all in your gameplay? Probably just when you shotgun, right? Or do you usually like walk up to people with a shotgun like this? Or do you slide?
I've been trying to slide and shotgun.
Okay, I'm right
But
here.
I do slide a lot without my shotgun.
I want you to slide shotgun me. Okay. So I want you to try again. But this time I'm going to create distance from you. Go ahead and run at me and slide shotgun. There you go. Okay. So you are able to continuously keep sliding. That's fine. That's good. Because sometimes you are going to have to slide more than once. So you know how to do that. You're fine in regards to that slide. So I don't have to worry about that. I will say that when you're playing pulse rifle, there's a big advantage you can take just when it comes to playing primary in general that anybody can use, and that's crouching on the radar. So look at your radar real quick. Right now it just shows the blinking part, right? Full, nothing is going on. It just shows you that I'm there. So what happens when I crouch? I start to disappear a little bit, right? You see it kind of blinking?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so on your radar right now, you have like a little arrow and it's full. It's not doing anything. It's not blinking or anything. So I want you to crouch. Now your arrow starts blinking too, right? As you're blinking in that frame, you also disappear from my radar. So the advantage that gives you is that you can potentially find a player off guard doing a dumb play in the open that you can hit with your pulse rifle and, you know, get that first shot advantage, make them weak to the point where you can get them super high health. All right. So go back to this part of the map and I want you to like crouch on this part. And when I tell you go, I want you to peek. All right. Now peek. So let's say I didn't look at the radar. You can shoot me. I didn't look at the radar. Well, you want to do more damage than that. Try to hit me again. Okay. So you were crouching. I didn't see you on the radar. I made a dumb play. You caught me off guard. Now I'm going to run into cover. And then you force me into a situation again where now you can clean me up with a throwing knife or a grenade. You see the power of that? Because many people will like, you know, they'll be looking around. They don't see anything on the map because they're relying on the radar or they just don't spot you on the map. But you come out of that cover crouching, right? Or something like that. And I'm not prepared. I'm in the open like this. You're playing cover and I'm not. And we already established peak shooting, head glitches, covering your character's body as much as possible. It helps a lot and it plays a big role. Go ahead and shoot me, right? Crouch around that corner. You catch me by surprise again. I'm looking for somebody. I was looking at this distance. I just got shot, so I'm hiding now. You want to try to actively seek while I'm weak. You hit big boy damage with the throwing knife. Now I'm dead. That's another thing you want to try to practice when it comes to your primary gameplay, and it'll take it to a whole different level. All right, let's start to engage and just fight like normal, okay? Good damage. Now, don't stress too much about the fact that in these situations you're not securing the kill. You're doing a lot of damage when you're not going to be playing alone, right? You have teammates. Any little chip damage that somebody else does or any damage that I take from an ability and I peek you when I'm weak, you're going to get the kill. So right now I'm using like, you know, one of the best movement exotics in the game. Imagine if I didn't have it on, everything that you're doing is a lot more effective against me because I don't have the slide to be able to escape from danger as much as possible. Not as fast. Not everybody in Crucible, I would say majority of people don't really run like a Dune Marchers or, you know, not Stompies as much anymore, especially because Trawl's a lot more passive. When you have teammates, everybody's playing a lot more reserved, especially if you're keeping them back like the way that you are. I'm never going to want to try to engage super aggressively. I'm scared, right? Like, I'm playing my life. Oh, I would have traded with me.
Sometimes I kill myself.
Happens with the proximity knives. That almost got me, but I have the Dude Marcher slide, so allow me to get really far away. When you see, let's say, somebody posted up on a rift or a barricade, my advice is to try to disengage, break it down maybe with your teammates. But when you see something like this, let's say I'm regenerating overshield, you want to be a lot more cautious about how much you peek. You know how we talked about you using corners and headshots and everything for cover? Well, you want to be even more cautious about peeking for damage against somebody with a barricade in a rift, because I have more health than you, right? So that means I can take more damage than you do, and you need to keep that in mind. So when you see situations like that, you just want to peek really fast. You want to be much more quicker. You want to make sure you look at your HP. You don't ever get too weak. And that's, you know, pretty much really it. Let's do a scenario where I want you to stand right here and shoot me like maybe once or twice. Just do like once. So I'm gonna be over here. Go ahead and shoot me again. And I'm one shot, I'm hiding from you. I want you to play aggressive and try to clean me up with your primary weapons or your shotgun. So you took a little bit too long to make the play happen because I was already full health and I'm in close quarters, I'm healthy and I can counter you. So let's try and do that again. All right, make me weak. Oh shit. Shoot me again. Okay, now chase me, John. Try to kill me with the shotgun. Now I'm set up for you. But let's say, for example, I've been waiting for you with grenades, or I had a barricade right there, and you weren't really like in range to kill me with a shotgun. Instead, what you could do is you want to get yourself out of that situation. You pop a dodge, or you just return back where you came from, right? It's like a little passive aggressive play style. Like some people are just overly aggressive in the wrong situations, and some people are too defensive in the wrong situations. You want to have a balance of both, right? When you have somebody one shot, that's when you need to play more aggressive. If they get away from you, it's not the situation where you should be playing super aggressive. Be a little bit more defensive. So let's go ahead and do that scenario again. I want you to make me one shot and try to kill me. But we're gonna play normal. Try to actually capitalize on what we just said about making me weak and trying to get the cleanup.
30 seconds remaining.
Okay, starting to play more aggressive, but now this is too much time has passed. At this point, you should know in your head, okay, he might have regen health already. Let me back off. I can't get the cleanup anymore with just one shot. Timer's about to run out. So, do you have any more questions? Like anything that you need some advice on when it comes to playing?
Times I forget about the heavy.
Okay.
I don't know if that's good or bad.
When you're playing trials, you usually forget about the round. Do you know what round it comes in every time, or no?
Which round?
Maybe it's easier if you know in your head that whenever the round hits number 3, regardless if it's like 1 or 2 or 3-0, like that's the heavy round. If you see it that way, it can help you. It's like, okay, it's 1-1, they just won another round. It's about to be 3 rounds total. Heavy is about to come up. Let's go play it. Right? It's like, oh, we have 2-0, we just won a round. It's about to be 3-0. It's heavy round. Do you have anything else in mind?
No.
Okay.
That I know of. But it'll probably come up when I'm playing PvP though.
Right. So, personally, I think we covered everything we could have covered. We talked about your build. We looked at your weapons and the play styles, and we have an insight of how you play. We also went into Crucible. I got to look at your movement. I got to see how you play around corners and everything, and I gave you some advice on how to approach somebody that's playing aggressive, because that's something that you said you struggled against. It's aggressive people, right? The whole reading, the mind tricks, when to play aggressive, when to play defensive, the power of your pulse rifle and the range that you have, and when to properly use those abilities instead of just randomly chucking them in, or just, you know, not taking a second to think about, maybe I should angle the ability this way to make sure it hits. A lot of those things will go a long way. The VOD will be there if you need to go rewatch anything again that I covered. So you can rest assured that will stay there. But I think that's pretty much it. I've looked at everything that you did inside the match, and I believe with what I said, and if you start to practice it and keep it in mind over time, you will be a way more solid player that will break through that wall that you said you were experiencing, that you weren't able to get better.
Yeah.
But I saw some really good things. The sliding with the shotgun, when to use a cover, you learned quickly. You know, some of this stuff you probably already kind of knew, but you weren't really disciplined enough against yourself about it. So it'll be important to be disciplined in that regard. I hope that helped, Dragon, and thank you so much for joining.
Awesome. It did.
I'll be
It
here
really
streaming
did.
if
Thank
you ever
you
have
so
any more
much.
questions, okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you again. You have a good night.
Thank you again. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yo, what's up?
Hey, what's good, man? It's time to do a little coaching lesson with IFrostBolt. Why do you want some tips? What caused you to get in here and try to get some coaching?
Need some improvements on my movement,
Okay.
and I'm just like really excited that I could get the chance to play with you.
Okay. So you're just trying to get some tips on like movement and stuff. But would you say you're already a pretty good player overall? Is there a reason why it takes 5 years to respond?
I don't know. I've gone flawless for like a few times, but I don't know.
Is there a reason why it takes so long to respond?
Maybe if there's a delay. Let me
Wait, are
let
you
me
listening
open
to the
my
stream?
Twitch on my PC. Maybe there's a delay on my
Where
phone.
are you listening from? Aren't you listening from
Sorry.
Discord?
No, I think
What's
you're
up?
muted on Discord.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh, was I muted?
Yeah. I
You
think
couldn't
so.
hear me through Discord before? Was it through the stream?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so you play with some sweaty people, and they said your movement could be better, or what was it? Just overall?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we'll try to focus on that. Any other weaknesses you kind of want to try to tackle down?
I don't know. We'll just see, I guess. 'Cause I don't know if I'm even a good player or not.
All right, let's go ahead and dive into it. So how long have you been playing Crucible for?
Maybe half a year. I've been playing since like mid last year, but Destiny gets boring sometimes, and I just take breaks once in a while.
I hear you, man. So you've been playing for like a year now, right? And just meet me at middle.
Okay.
And you say you have pretty good experience playing with some sweaty players, so you try to pick up a lot of experience from there, right? You
Yeah.
got flawless a couple times. I feel like when it comes to you, not even looking at your build or anything, it's really just gonna have to be more experience. Whatever you're doing now, you're probably fine doing that for a little bit longer because you don't have that much time under your belt when it comes to Destiny.
Mhm.
And I think the things that you probably suffer against the most are just things that you don't have experience against. So we'll dive into that a little bit more. But you did mention movement, so I just want to look at your build real quick, see what you're rocking.
Okay.
Yeah, especially if you're running movement, like, yeah, Domla's going to be very popular. You got all the right stuff. You have a very good understanding of Crucible. I don't have to hold your hand much when it comes to what to run. Like, you know the good stuff already. You got a Fatebringer, you're rocking Fillwinter's Life Fitting Aspect, like it's pretty standard. You're running 100 recovery. You already know how important that is. You got the tier 10 discipline. Like, you have the same mindset as me. You know, the grenades are very important. You have your intellect pretty high. Like, he has a really good understanding of what stats to invest into. He has worked on his armor to make sure he has pretty good stat distribution.
Yeah, this is pretty much what I run in trials.
So, is there a reason why you're not taking advantage of utility kickstart to get more rifts? Do you really feel like you like getting that outreach, the Celestial Fire more rather than another constant rift?
I'm sorry, which one?
On your Warlock bond, I know you're rocking outreach, but for the most part, I feel like even if you're playing Warlock, Hunter, Titan, whatever, like having the utility kickstart to get that class ability back is going to be, I feel like it's going to help you a lot more, especially if you're playing trials. Like having your rift constantly is just, the rift is so strong. You just stand on it, constantly getting HP. I would think always having that rift up as much as possible.
Oh yeah, but
I know what
I
you're
think
thinking, the quick
it was
charge, right?
for, yeah, it's for the quick charge.
What about switching the stasis boots to arc, getting rid of the holster mods, and then slapping on quick charge?
Yeah.
Because if you're swapping weapons frequently, you know, you pull out a shotgun just to make sure they're not closing the gap on you, or if you're like me, you're constantly swapping your weapons back and forth, then you probably don't care about shotgun holster. Like, you're not going to take advantage of it. You put the quick charge there instead of the SMG holster. But that way you still have the quick shotgun swaps. You get the charge of light too. So again, for the most part, you know what you're doing when it comes to weapons and your builds and stuff like that. Like, I don't have to hold your hand too much on anything like this. Like, what I mentioned here was kind of like a little bit of a preference just to really like push something that was already 10 out of 10, to be honest. But I feel like with the utility kickstart, if you put the Warlock Bond to stasis, you put 2 of those, you'll constantly have rift. So let's go ahead and just, I don't know, I want to see how you would engage. Like, let me switch to a pulse rifle. I want to see how you engage against somebody that's like really far range. Because the other person that I was playing with, they were more of a reserve person and I was the one being an aggressor. And I want to see your decision making against, you know, somebody that's trying to play close range, get an idea of like how you behave against stuff like that.
Okay.
You have a lot of movement utility, but that doesn't always mean you know how to use it to this full effect, right? So maybe we'll see something there. All right, so let's go ahead and go to our spawns. So right now to start, I'm in my spawn. I want to see how you would engage me without using any abilities against somebody that's using abilities against you. And I want to see your movement, because usually when it comes to trying to push somebody as an aggressor or trying to survive in gunfights and whatnot, especially if you're running hand cannon shoddy, movement is a big deal to your playstyle, right? So go ahead and start up. Go ahead and push through middle. Try to use your movement, see if you can get to me, how you would encounter. So right there, I kind of made your super one shot. Like, you're doing a pretty good job sliding into cover. You can approach me wherever you want. Just try to come at me like you normally would. Yeah, I'm just trying to get an idea of like how your movement is when you're trying to play aggressive against something that kind of checks your build, you know, like something that stops you.
Mm-hmm.
Keep trying again. I want to keep seeing. So the very heavy defensive playstyles, like usually when we're playing hand cannon shoddy, they're really strong against us. So I like that you're being patient, letting me also make a mistake.
Oh no.
Okay. All right, let's go ahead and take a pause. So you have a pretty good basis of movement, to be honest, man. Like it's not too bad. Right now it's a little bit of a struggle pushing a guy that knows that you're coming, right? That you're gonna push, and it's a struggle because the build that I'm using is a very strong counter to an aggressive playstyle if we don't know how to do it. So can you do me the favor and switch to a pulse rifle and try to do the same thing that I did and hold me back? Are you much of a pulse rifle user at all, or no?
No.
Okay, perfect. So keep that in mind. So I want you to go to spawn.
Yeah,
Tell me
I'm
when
in
you're there.
spawn.
All right, I want you to start up, and then I'm gonna start late so that you already have a preem against me. Just keep trying to hold me back. Oh shit, I didn't know you were gonna push. Let's try that again. So try to hold me back, okay?
Okay.
From that distance. Let's try that again, all right? From wherever you spawn. And you can play however you want, just a little bit like defensive. Play the pulse rifle where you try to keep me back. And if you want to disengage and run back, you are able to do that. But I just want to show you a scenario of how I'm going to play aggressive against you, trying to keep constantly pushing you. Okay, nice shots, nice shots. I'm going to run through middle again. Try to stick to the pulse rifle only, just so you get an idea.
Okay.
Like you just get an experience of what I'm doing because I'm playing aggressive against you. All right, I'm gonna try to secure a kill. The 1 HP. Keep doing the
that
same
was
thing.
close.
I'm gonna try to secure a kill. Keep playing that pulse rifle. Okay, now pause. The reason I just did that, what we did right there, we did the loadout swaps, and I think this is going to be one of the biggest tips I can give you, knowing that you already have some movement, you already have some experience. One of the things that you're missing that I find to be one of the most valuable things whenever I went into content creation was the fact that you need more experience with the loadouts that you're going up against. You might know and be able to predict what a hand cannon shotgun player is going to do, but
Yeah.
you need to know what a pulse rifle player thinks, how they behave with that loadout, and how they want to act against another specific loadout. So when you saw me with a pulse rifle, you need to know the playstyle. You, at first, when we started doing the engagement, me pushing, you stayed at the same spot relatively a little bit close. But the next time that we redid it and I had to tell you, you can play back, you can disengage if you want. You started creating distance and you tried to stay far enough away from my hand cannon because you want the range advantage against me, right? The closer that I get, I'm more of a threat to you than you are to me. The further that you are, you're more of a threat than I am with my hand cannon. So it's play styles like that and experience that you need to really start just going above other players. And that just kind of happens over time, like knowing, okay, if I use a pulse rifle, I start to know and understand how one plays. So when I go up against a player who's using that loadout, I know what to expect. It won't catch you off guard when you slide around the corner and I'm already across the map, still priming with a pulse rifle. You know that's how they're going to play because you have that experience from playing with one, right?
Right.
So this applies to many, many things. That's why I think like you need a lot more time as a Destiny player in general to really get experience with the whole game because, you know, there's not just one type of pulse rifle, right? It's not like Halo where there's only like one gun and then there's like a different gun. Like there's only like a couple that you need to learn. This game has so many, right? Like some people, they come to my chat and they tell me, dude, I hate Jotun. I don't know how to play against it. They just keep destroying me. But I mean, tell me yourself, do you have a problem with Jotun at all? Like, I would say no if you have movement, right?
Yeah.
So the thing is, they need to start using Jotun and seeing what makes it good and what counters it. When you use something and you see somebody destroying you while you're using it, you start to learn, okay, so when they're doing this or this is happening, my playstyle doesn't work. So let me make sure I avoid these situations or get better in those scenarios. So for example, like a Jotun player, if they notice they keep walking out of corners and they just getting grenade launched or whatever, like something that's not working, you need to change it up. And our idea is, okay, I just need to slide and make sure I bait it around corners, right? And that's kind of how you want to adapt when it comes to any other build in the game. Now, you obviously it's gonna take a long time to try to do it for every single exotic or gun, but luckily we have metas, right? Like when it comes to metas, like there's only a handful of weapons you're gonna see, and that's when you can start to adapt and learn how to counter them. You have a couple options that you can use yourself to get some experience under and just kind of learn how they think, right? So with the pulse rifle players, like when I was going up against you, I knew you're probably gonna keep your range from me, right? And you learned that too. You want to keep your range. Like you're gonna make it tough for me to close the gap, to get super close, right? Because you have the range and my hand cannon won't hit you that hard. So I keep trying to constantly keep closing the gap as much as I can, changing my positioning, peeking different corner angles, you know. I think that's gonna help you a lot, man, to be honest. You got pretty good foundation for movement, you got a good understanding of the game, but the experience, like I could tell that's something that's definitely can be improved upon. Because once I started sitting behind my barricade and posting up with that pulse rifle, you're like, you keep trying to engage me, but you're like, okay, I mean, like I can't kill him, so what do I do, right? Like I have to make him super one shot. Especially if I'm hitting my shots, it's not going to be as easy as just like making me one shot and pushing me, because you have to.
I'm gonna be one shot too.
Yeah, you're gonna be one shot too. So how do you create a scenario, a situation where you can aggressively push me without me also making you one shot and not allowing you to push, right? Because you don't want that. That's a big risk. Either one of us dies, or it could be a trade. If you get outplayed by me, then it's like, you know, you made it easy or whatever. So experience. let's try kind of applying a little bit about that, you know, that mentality. You use the pulse rifle. I mean, you're not gonna see a major like experience boost, but now your mentality has kind of changed a little bit. I'm gonna start playing a bit reserved with the pulse rifle, and I want you to see if you can engage me. I'm gonna start from a spawn. We're gonna do like a 3, 2, 1 go. All right. So it is mayhem, just for the sake of like if we needed to like practice abilities, but I think you got a good understanding of all that. Go ahead and start.
Change my loadout too.
Okay. Are you gonna? Your preferred loadout is hand cannon shotgun, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you can stick with that.
Okay.
All right. You're in your spawn.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go ahead and start. Let's say it's a trials 1v1 scenario. You can use abilities and everything, but try not to spam them, because I did make a mayhem, so be a little bit more reserved than you would be.
Okay.
However you want. It's a 1v1 trials. There's no reses. This is the type of player that checks you every time. You're not doing any damage to me, man. So you need to start repositioning yourself. You have the entire map to start rotating around, to try to find a way to break through. And when you're playing against a good player, he's also going to be rotating a lot. But usually, like, I feel like at your point of level, like most of the players you match, they won't really be that crazy at rotating. So what's going through your head right now as you're trying to like engage me? Like what's your struggles, do you feel like?
I'm trying to close up the range.
Yeah, but like you can't really, like, you feel the threat of the pulse rifle. Like you're like, every time that I peek him, he's just hitting me so hard.
Yeah.
So there's one thing that I feel like you know how to do, but you're not really utilizing it, and that's sliding around corners. If you're using a hand cannon, that's going to be such a strong ability to do in your peak shots. So that's how you beat the pulse. That's how you can get an edge against them. Nice, okay. So try to do that again. And you're repositioning as well. Personally, if I'm playing a pulse rifle that far away, like I normally wouldn't give them any damage. Like I wouldn't even try to fight them until I find a position where, you know, I'm close enough to actually hit him with a hand cannon. So, boss, it's a bit of a standoff, right? Whenever you pop your riff like that and you start to actually get some shots off around the corner, if you get like a first shot advantage on me, right? Like you think you hit me harder than I hit you, like I didn't damage you much with my pulse. That's your opportunity to start making an aggressive push. I want you to engage me around the corner, right? I'm gonna let you like hit me like once, and I'm not gonna do like much damage to you, but I'm still playing the defensive playstyle. That's your opportunity to like throw a grenade at me and really like cause me to like rotate and be one-shotting. Like basically you have a major advantage to just kill me at that point. So I want you to do like a slide out or a peek shot, whatever you prefer. And let's say you get the first shot advantage. Oh, let's try that again. Hold on, don't kill this time. So I'm a pulse rifle player. I can't do the peek shots as well as the hand cannon, right? I can't do the slide out because that's a hand cannon thing, really. So I want you to do that. Do the first shot advantage, shoot me once. So now you make me weak. I'm scared. I'm gonna hide behind cover. That's your opportunity to start following up with a grenade. You want to throw a grenade, you know, make me screwed up, and I'm gonna run away, right? I want to get out of the nade, and then you start to predict me disengaging, running away from that nade, create some space, and that's when you really can just clean me up. So let's go ahead and redo that entire scenario. Get your solar nade up. And now I'm screwed. Like I have to go right side. I'm stuck. You know what I mean? You clean me up. You're much healthier than I am because I was taking damage from a nade. So let's go ahead and redo that scenario. Now I made you super one shot, so you're easier to clean up, right? So what was the difference between those two situations was that instead of me being the weakest, I made you the weakest. No, weakest. So you have to learn which one of those scenarios is the appropriate time to actually follow up. Not every time will you have the most HP. You'll have the first shot advantage. Sometimes it'll be an equal. Sometimes you'll miss your shot. So obviously you don't want to push me, right? That also applies whenever I get a major burst and you're like super weak. Like your solar nade is not going to take me from like max HP to like super one shot in the time that I 2 burst you, right? So there's things like that to consider. At that point, you're like, okay, well, I wasn't able to get the damage enough. Let me refresh the situation, recover my HP with that 100 recovery, and then try again from either a different angle, different position, or slide around the same corner again to get an advantage. So try it again. I want you to choose wherever slide you want. Okay, now I'm one shot. I didn't do any damage to you because you slid out. You got the peeker's advantage. I'm waiting for you. I'm super one shot. You're not. You should be following up on that with confidence, right? So let's redo that scenario once more. On go. 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah, I'm way weaker than you are, and you get the free push. I think you need to make sure you remember stuff like that. That's gonna take, like, you taking advantage of your movement and your playstyle with the hand cannon shotty as much as possible to shit on something that usually checks you. That's when you start exploiting the weaknesses of something like this, like a pulse rifle. Like in the open, in those long ranges, like I was making it very difficult for you to hit any damage at all. So now in this situation, the way that you're approaching me, you're making me scared. Like I want to like run away and reposition. Like I don't feel comfortable in this spot at all. Like this is not my good area of the map. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
go ahead, hide behind the cover on go. You try to do the same thing. All right, 3, 2, 1, go. So I have you one shot. I'm healthier, right? You're doing good damage. You're stopping me from pushing. Let's try to do that again. I want to see how you react whenever I get the first shot advantage and I start to like push you with my own nades and stuff like that. Okay, so on go. 3, 2, 1, go. Try that again. So use whatever abilities you want as we're doing the reset, okay? 3, 2, 1, go. All right, 3, 2, 1, go. One more time. All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
3 minutes.
All right, so let's see. You're able to push me whenever you have the first shot advantage, and you're able to clean me up, and you know you already learned how to do the whole solar nade thing and like when to actually play aggressive against me. But now you need to be in the opposite scenario whenever I'm being aggressive towards you, because you won't always play a player that lacks confidence and wants to be like the reserve defensive playstyle. Sometimes you'll match a player that's good enough, has confidence, and they'll play the aggressor against you even though they have a pulse rifle, right? How do we flip that around so that you can beat me when you're the defensive player with your playstyle? Well, that's where your abilities come into play and you still apply the whole peak shot and the movement situation. So just like whenever you were pushing me, if I made you one shot, right? If I hit you really hard, then you wouldn't push. You want to do the same thing to me. So let's go ahead and do that. Go back to the wall. We'll go ahead and start with that one. So let's say I'm an aggressor and I want to push you. So 3, 2, 1, go. Okay. You want to make sure you make me one shot every time that you peek. You want to hit those shots. Go ahead, start. So I'm playing aggressive, trying to play aggressive. You give me one shot, I'm going to back off. All right, just keep that in mind, right? You always want to do that damage. Make sure you keep me off from playing aggressive. I'm going to start pushing you. I want you to peek me once. Let's say I do enough damage. Now I'm going to start playing aggressive. Now you need to start thinking, how do you beat me? Let's say you can't run away like you're super one shot, right? Like sometimes you're stuck there. I'm going to hit you one more time, all right? And then you can hide behind that wall.
Hit them hard.
You can hide behind the wall. So what are you going to do? You have Rift, you have a melee, and you have a solar nade, and you also have a primary shot. That's a good play. So let's do a 3, 2, 1 reset. Let me know, do you have your solar nade back?
Yeah.
We're going to engage on go. 3, 2, 1, go.
30 seconds. Fight on.
I made you one shot.
One after another.
Now I'm pushing you. Let's go ahead and redo that again.
You gained the
You're on the
lead.
defensive right now, okay? So you're playing against somebody that's going to be playing an aggressor. All right, so try to stay on around that wall with the mentality that I'm going to be pushing you a lot.
10 seconds.
So you want to
End
make
the-
sure that A, you stop me, B, if I put you in that spot in that corner where I'm starting to get really, really close, you know what to do in those situations. So let's go ahead and reset. So again, I'll be the one pushing, and I want you to get ready to play that wall where you're at and expecting me to want to push in and clean you up because I made you weak, but you want to stop me. All right, so let's go 3, 2, 1, go. Nice shots. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so you're sliding very well.
Oh, I didn't know.
Is that normal?
Okay.
Like, would you have... What happened? What
So
did it-
I
what?
aimed down and I thought you pushed, and I didn't see the radar.
Was that just like a little mistake, or does that normally happen?
It does. Like I don't know.
Okay, so keep in mind, look, I'm gonna tell you something. Maybe you know this, not like I don't know how much experience you have, so some of this might be stuff that you already know. So apologies if it feels like I'm just kind of holding your hand with some of these things. I'm not trying to, but if you're around that wall, and not everybody will think the same as me, right? Like not everybody that you will match will be like the same caliber. Some skills vary, but the people always say the better the player you play, you know, you improve a lot. So here's how I approach you. I made you weak. I know you're a shotgun hand cannon player. So this is another like thing that I got from experience on playing as a pulse rifle, right? And playing a hand cannon. I know as a hand cannon player, I want this pulse rifle guy to push me because then I can shit on him with a shotgun melee or a grenade.
Yeah.
It's my close quarter situation, right? I know that. So because I'm playing pulse rifle, I know what the hand cannon guy wants to do. I don't give him that. I bait that mentality, right? So you're behind that wall. I'm baiting you. I'm like getting close, and then I'm sliding back, creating that distance. So I want you to hide behind the wall, right? So let's say I'm getting close. You think you can shotgun me at this point, but I'm gonna slide out, and then I'm baiting you while you still are weak, and then I clean you up with my pulse rifle. You know what I'm saying?
Wait, could you do that one more time?
The whole like, that's a bait,
Oh,
and
okay.
you can do that with any weapon combo. But this is how you bait out specifically that playstyle, the shotgun player, because those are the only people that would ever run around a corner and try to like run at you with a weapon and shotgun you, right? Maybe a fusion rifle does something similar, but that's a whole different conversation. A shotgun player, from playing other shotgun people, what the play is, so you bait that out. All right, so that's why
Yeah.
when I got closer, like I thought you were gonna push me. Well, that's what I made you think. I wanted to do that play to bait you out, making you think you could shotgun me, but instead you just exposed yourself for me to clean you up with my primary. Let's go ahead and go behind the pillars and try to do a 3, 2, 1. I want you to play defensive again, and I'll be the aggressor. On go. 3, 2, 1, go. That was a good attempt. That's fine. On go. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so you do a good job hiding behind cover as much as possible. As a pulse rifle player, I don't want to push you. I want to bait you out. But you're doing a good job getting closer to me.
Oh, I need to reload.
Yeah, but look. Let's pause right there. You did a really good job. Look. I really like that, so I want to highlight that point. You went from one cover to the other, and I was trying so hard to adapt to your repositioning that it resulted in me going in a dog shit positioning. I'm in the open, I have no cover. Because
Yeah.
I went here, and then you traveled here, so then I run back to try to create distance. I turn back, and now you're back in cover. I'm not. So repositioning is a big deal as well. And you did a really good job doing that without, maybe you knew already what you were doing, or just doing it like unconsciously. You want to make sure you think about that and utilize those type of plays as much as possible.
Okay.
All right, so let's go ahead and do a 3, 2, 1 again. 3, 2, 1, go. Oh shit, that actually killed.
Gains the
This thing is just so good, dude. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so you do a good job following up when they least expected to do a shotgun blast. That's really good. But remember, sometimes, like we already established, they will try to bait that out. They try to bait that play out. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
so you want to keep that in mind. It won't always work, so don't get caught by surprise. And if it doesn't work, you need to be quick on your feet and be like, okay, it's time to slide back out or Icarus dash back into cover. All right? 3,
All right.
2, 1, go. Nice. Nice. And don't worry about like playing defensive. Like sometimes that's what you have to do. You have to reposition, find like an opportunity when you have the advantage because the other playstyle that's going up against you is just much better. Go again. Good nade. Now I'm in unfavorable position. That's fine. No, you did a good play pushing that. And in some sense, you just need experience to learn what to do when you see certain abilities pop up. You know what I mean? Because like, it's just destiny too. People will always have an ability for like to try to counter a situation. Right there's the barricade. It's like the moment you can outplay that was obviously jumping over the barricade, or you nade it, or you try to slide around it, or you just disengage. You know what I mean? It's like you have a couple plays. Some of them work and some of them are safer to just like not really do at all. Let's go again.
Ooh.
Yeah, remember, do the slider on corners, the peak shots. You're trying to be too like what's it called, explosive with your challenging, that you're giving up the peak shots and the sliding around corners. Good, good. Now you're being a scary hand cannon player with those peak shots. Except when you expose your entire body character, and I'm not one shot. And it's tough, man, because when you're playing like a loadout like this, it even happens when you're playing a hand cannon player.
Impatient.
It's patience plays a big role, and that's really just something you can only like work on yourself mentally. Like not everybody, like, let's say a game that you could have 5-0'd a team goes 5-4 just because you actually push them. It happens more often than not. I mean, it happens to me every time that I want to play trials and play aggro. Like, the people that are super like patient and passive just get the best of me, and I just give them free rounds, free kills, you know. But
Yeah.
when you really want that W and you really want to like discipline yourself and you're playing serious, that's when you apply every little technique, right? Every little peak shot and stuff like that matters. It's important to start now to build good habits, because then you can casually do it when you're relaxed. You know what I mean? Like, you're not even thinking about it. You know what I mean? You want those good habits.
Yeah.
So it's like when I'm playing trials and I'm playing a team like this that you're playing against right now, I could talk to Chad and be casual about like my encounters, but like, okay, I know what to expect already. I know what I'm playing against. I'll just peek shot a little bit here and there and find an opportunity when I can follow up with a nade. Or I make them one shot and I can just run at them. Nice. I guess one final thing that I know to bring up on how you can make your playstyle better against other people is, you ever like seen how dogs rally sheeps at the farms and stuff? No, you have an idea what that is?
No.
Okay, so maybe later whenever you want, you can look up a YouTube video on it just to get like an image of it. But basically what you want to do sometimes against a player when you can't really break through them, like whatever you're doing doesn't work, is you want to lure them to a terrible positioning spot. You want to bait them to the spot exactly where you want them, where you have the best advantage. So let's go back to the heavy ammo area. When we first engaged, I was challenging you and you went here, remember? Go back there. So your position made me position here, and then you Icarus dash here, right?
Right.
So go ahead, do that. Now your new positioning made me move here, and look where you put me at, in the open. We already had that encounter. You changed my positioning to be put in a terrible spot where you were struggling normally. Now I feel like I have like, let's say 20% chance of actually winning this duel, right? Like the percentages of who can win that duel change depending on like your positioning and stuff like that. So if you can take what just happened here and apply it in any encounter when it comes to playing whatever map, positioning, cover that you want, then you won't really struggle as much with people regardless of what playstyle positioning they might have that counters your loadout. You feel me?
Yeah.
That's pretty much it, man. I feel like you got pretty good foundations. Those are just some like experience tips that I can give you. If you really want to kind of like skip a lot of the experience progress, it wouldn't hurt to try out some of the loadouts just to get in the head of that player, to be like, okay, I see how they play. I understand what they think and what weaknesses they have, and how to like exploit that weakness when I go up against it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's pretty much it, man.
Yeah. Like if there's like a playstyle that I don't like, I'm just not likely to play it.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, playing it makes me get to know more playstyles of the game, really improves my understanding of the game.
Yeah, and that's something that you don't get when you're doing scrims. So when you're doing scrims, sweats, whatever, like at least for me, back when I used to do it 24/7, the environment that I existed in was just hand cannon shotty or hand cannon sniper, right? And that's pretty much all I knew. So anytime that I played a hand cannon shotty, hand cannon sniper, and like trials or quick play, like it was no big deal. I knew what to expect, and I had honed those skills to beat it. But then let's say they're using some cheese abilities, something that like it's banned in like these environments where we play in private matches, and I'm like,
yeah,
oh shit, I have zero experience how to counter it.
Those things get me.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the Monarch.
Yeah, exactly. And you need to like have that experience to know what to expect and what weaknesses they have and what really their limitations are. You know what I'm saying? That's really it, man. I think you're a pretty solid player overall. You know what you're doing. You understand the game, and it's just experience, and applying some of these things we talked about can take you really, really far. If you ever want to watch anything back again, it'll be in the VOD. Other than that, man, I think you're going to be good. GG's.
GG's.
Thanks for joining me, man.
You.
You have a good night, bro.
You too. Thank you so much.